Hey everyone, Dom here. In this snippet, we are going to talk about the publish subscribe pattern, or PubSub for short. This is a common interview question, but you can also use this in your own code if you find that this pattern solves your problem. So what is PubSub? Basically, let's try an example. Click on that subscribe button down there. Clicking that makes you the subscriber, and me, the publisher. Basically, whenever I upload a new video, it's a publish event and you get notified about it. A more technical example is a button on a page with a click event on it. Every time that click event is triggered, all actions or functions to subscribe to it will get triggered. So all you have to do is make sure you subscribe to that event and your function is triggered. So let's go ahead and implement a simple PubSub logic. We are going to implement our PubSub using ES6 classes. First, let's talk about the API. We have the subscribe and publish instance methods. Subscribe takes an event name and a function to be called when that event is triggered. Additionally, it returns an object that has the unsubscribe functionality for when we want to forget about this event. Publish takes the event name and a variable number of arguments to be passed to all the functions that are subscribed to that event. In fact, I have some code here on how we expect our PubSub class to be used. If you are going for an interview, this is an important step you shouldn't miss. This shows the interviewer that you understand the problem set and there's no misunderstanding on what you need to solve. So I've created a couple of functions that we can use to test our code when we're done implementing it. The first one is called +1, which just adds 1 to the arguments applied to it. The next is log3, which logs whatever 3 arguments passed to it. Then here, the first thing we do is to create a PubSub instance. After that, we start subscribing to the events. This line means whenever a fun event is published, I want to call +1. And similarly, this line does the same thing but adds log3 to the functions to be called. After that, let's subscribe to a new event called lame and only add +1 to it. Below in the comments is what we expect to happen as we start publishing events. For example, we publish the fun event and pass in 1 through 3 as arguments. It should call both +1 and log3. When we publish lame and pass in arguments 4, it should only call +1. Here, we unsubscribe +1 from the fun event so that when we publish fun again on this line, it should only call log3 with 5 and 6 as arguments. So now that we know everything that we have to implement, let's start working on it. As you can see, the first step that I've done here is to create a skeleton for my class, listing out the methods I need to create and also the fields that I will need within my class. Now let's talk about this tracker field. As you can tell by now, the main problem to solve with PubSub is how do I keep track of what events are there and what functions are tied to those events. The data structure that is most useful for this is a hash map or dictionary, or in JavaScript, just an object with keys and values. The key in this case is the event name, and the value is an array of functions we need to call. Let's write that down. Now, let's move forward to the subscribe method. Subscribing means that adding to the tracker the event if it doesn't exist, and adding this new function to be called when the event gets published. Afterwards, we need to return a way for this function to be unsubscribed in the case that it doesn't care about this event anymore. Let's work on this now. Alright, so let's go over this implementation. If the tracker contains the event name, we simply grab the existing array and then push this function to the end of it. Otherwise, if the event name doesn't exist yet, then we need to create a new array with the current function as the only element and then assign it to the event name in our tracker. Looking at our unsubscribe method, what we have to do is to find the function that we added in the array and block it out. To do this, we first grab the array of functions for the given event name. Then we try to get the index of where the function is in that array. we do some safety checking to see if that index that returned was valid, and if so, we call splice on this array so that we can remove that function at the given index. And that's it. We now have a way to subscribe and unsubscribe to events. Now let's look at publish. You can see that there's an event name and a variable amount of arguments represented by ... args. These are the arguments that we will supply to the functions being called. What we have to do here is simple. We look up the event name in the tracker, and if there's a corresponding array of functions, then we call all of them. So let's write that out. Great. So we've written publish out, and let's look at the code line by line. Here I'm grabbing the functions array from the tracker with the given event name. We are checking if this is actually an array because it could be non-existent or null. We loop using a for each call onto the array and basically call func.apply and passing in the arguments. Now that we're done, time to test our code. So now let's go over the sample calls that we have down here so we can test if our code works just fine. Actually, I am going to comment out these other calls right here just so we can test them one by one. Right after saving, you can actually see in the console over here, which I'm going to go expand, that we are calling, or +1 and log3 are both getting logged, and that's because we are publishing the fun event and we are passing 3 arguments to it. +1 outputted the string +1 and 2. 2 comes from x + 1 over here, and log3 logs log3 and 1, 2, 3 because x, y, z are 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let's clear the console and uncomment the next one. This should call fun and lame. So let's see, the same thing over here with +1 and log3, and now we're also getting +1 and 5 because lame4 only calls +1 and passes in 4. Right? Let's clear that out again. Let's go unsubscribe +1 from fun. So let's do that. And then let's do a publish again. Right? So let's clear that so that it's clear what's going on. I'm going to save this to trigger and refresh this. So here we go. +1 log3 +1 log3. What happened here? So again, this happened, the fun event, the lame event, and then we unsubscribed the fun event, or +1 from fun, sorry, and we only published fun, which only calls now log3 with 5 and 6. As you can see here, that's what's happening on this last line. 5 and 6 are being outputted undefined because z right here does not exist because we only supplied 2 arguments, and I think it's working. That's basically it. So hopefully you guys now know how to implement a simple PubSub logic. Check out the description down below where I link the code that we wrote today in Codesandbox. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content. And don't forget to put any questions in the comments or any suggestions that you might want to see for future videos. Thanks again, and bye.